Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night live on Tuesday of this week. We have a few complications coming up at the end of the week, and so we didn't want you to miss out on a lot of important information. And we hear so many positive comments on our live videos that we can't bear not to bring you something new every week. Last week, what did we show them last week?
I think it's the leopard base.
Oh, the leopard base. We showed you how to make the leopard, and you're going to be seeing that pretty soon. We'll be mounting it probably, maybe even this week. And
Are you sure?
we got to go. Christmas is coming. The log is looking real good, and we'll bring you up to date on that as time goes along. And in thinking of things to do, we get a lot of requests, and a lot of people are bringing up things that we've done in the past, and so we thought maybe it's time to refresh some of these things that we did a year ago, and one of them is airbrushing. And I'm here with Brett Wingfield, Kirsten Morris, Mandy Swart, Amber Gonnerman is working on the log back there, and so we're going to show you probably not everything we know about airbrushing, but we're going to show you a whole lot. And I think to start with, we have all kinds of products, and not only are we going to show you a bunch of things, be thinking of you ladies, be thinking of your husbands for Christmas, because these make exceptional. I mean, we have gifts down to $5 all the way up to $500. So you can kind of pick your price range as far as how much you love him or her. And you men, don't forget your wives. A lot of times your wives or girlfriends are doing the finish work for you. So we're doing this all pertains to anybody that's involved in the art industry as well as the taxidermy industry. So we're going to cover a whole bunch of things, so go ahead and text in Mandy your questions, and she'll be reading them to us, so we'll try to answer them as we go. And like and share, like and share, like and share.
For a chance to win at the end?
For a chance to win at the end.
Share this video right now, and you'll be in the drawing for next week's winner. Schwiener.
Okay.
So it's probably the most important tool we use in the shop.
We use an airbrush for
everything.
absolutely everything, and I know if you've tuned in the last dozen or so lives, we spent a whole lot of time on non-airbrush painting techniques. We've done the pan pastel thing, a lot, and we really like them. Pan pastels by themselves are not a means of painting, but combined with airbrushing, they're fabulous. Same with the permanent pigments, any of the Pearl-X powders and liquid scales, all of those things combined with airbrushing, are a great thing. When I started out, I guess to start with, I got an H airbrush, and 40 years ago, this airbrush was $28. And I'm thinking we sell them for $33. So
How much were they when you started? Like 12?
It had a little thing you had to crank because we didn't have real air. Air wasn't invented at that time. But this is an H airbrush, and now you're going to be dealing with single action airbrushes and double action airbrushes to start with. A single action airbrush, all you get when you push down the trigger is air. A double action air, if you want more paint, you turn something. I open up this little valve here, and I get more paint. I close it down, I get less paint. A double action airbrush, like Brett's holding here, is a Iwata Custom Micron. You push down for air, you pull back for the amount of paint you want. So that's the two vital differences.
And whether it's a Pache or an Iwata or anybody,
Badger,
that's basically,
Iwata, yep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good airbrushes on the market. We kind of deal with three here. We carry three. Pache, I'd never be without my Pache airbrushes. Iwata is one of the finer airbrushes that we carry. Badger's a good airbrush. There's a whole lot. I mean, if you go, like when you get your nails done and stuff like that, they have airbrushes I've never even heard of, So there's a lot of good products out there. Yeah. And it kind of depends on any of these airbrushes that we're dealing with work well with waters, or they work well with lacquers. Yeah. But just to give you an idea, I'll show you this setup, or explain it to you a little bit. This is the Airbrush, $30-some item. It's, if you get the kit, you can get 3 needle assortments come with it, a 1, 3, and a 5, I think. The smaller the number, the finer the detail. A 3 is a pretty much basic shop size. A 5, anytime I do bigger saltwater fish where I need a bigger swath, I go to the 5 combination. And I go to operate this one, you turn this down till it closes down, you open it up, and then always test what you're doing. I don't have paint in here now, but always test. Don't test on your deer eye or something like that. And this will work either with a colored cup that just slips in here, friction fit, or this is a bottle, and I like these bottles. It's a Pache item. It's a 3-ounce color bottle. I have thinner in here. We're going to show them how to do that, how to mix that too, aren't we? Thinner and retarder. And this little, the angle that this feeds off of that cap will determine whether it's for the Airbrush or the VL airbrush. Sits on here with a little friction fit. Oops, I gotta turn this.
Do you sell replacement parts?
We sell some replacement parts. There are so many parts to some of these that we do carry the common parts. We carry needles and fluid nozzles and caps and things like that. So you're going to have to call and ask, and sometime we can order them for you too.
Jody wants to know if Mandy can paint a bass. Negative.
I bet you
Jody,
I bet she
negative.
I bet she could do a good job. So just to back up for those that have never used an airbrush, the idea, whether it be a single action or a double action, is you have some kind of a cone, the fluid nozzle, and you also have a needle of some sort. And so the needle going inside the cone restricts the amount of paint. So when Tom turns that cone,
So if I turn it way down, I get nothing. I open it up a little bit, I get paint. I hold it close, I get fine paint. I open it up wider, I get more paint. I hold it close, I get a darker stripe.
and so what's happening is as he turns it, he's moving the cone further forward and further away from the needle, which is allowing the to pass over. And then pushing it past the needle. That's what restricts it, whether it be a single action or a double, the same function is happening in the double action. You just control the distance of the needle to the cone. This is a $3
For that. I'm using lacquer paints. Lacquer paints tend to dry fast, so we put a little retarder in there. This is an airbrush that you could get a pretty big swath out of it if you're so inclined. And now another thing with this setup is I have what's called a pack valve on here, and this is a little air regulator. I can turn my air completely down and get nothing, or I can open it up and get a small amount of air, and a small amount of air is what you're going to want for detail.
Now that pack valve, that's something you can add, isn't it?
That's something you can add to most airbrushes. We have Badger airbrushes which come with it, and when you get a pack valve with a hose, it depends on if you have a Badger, it will already fit. Otherwise, if you have a Pache or an Iwata, you can get a nipple that screws onto this it's like a $5 item that you'll want to use.
And pack being precision air control, maybe? Something like that.
And then anytime I take that off, I'm going to clean that out like that. And I usually flush it out with lacquer thinner. The nice thing about this is there's only 2 parts you really need to worry about. There's this cone and there's the needle. There's a Allen wrench little set screw in here. Loosen that, take the 2 parts out, clean them out with lacquer thinner, and it's good for the next time. Really easy.
You've got those still on the student line.
We still use them.
That are what, 30, 40 years old?
Some of them are. And I've replaced the cones, I've replaced the needles. That's like I'm gonna say $8 to $9 item, and your airbrush is like brand new again.
Is there a time and place for a double or a single action?
That's a good question. I think a single action can do most everything a double can do. You'll find that I think you can get a little bit more control out of a double. I can. I feel like I have a little more control of the paint from it, but you can do anything with a single action airbrush, nearly anything that you want to with the double.
I'll show you another since you asked that. Another, hand me a little thinner there if you could. I just put, you notice any of our paint bottles, we replace all our caps with these little, what do they call them?
Replacement.
Caps,
Replacement
squirt caps.
yep.
And they got little red caps on them and keep them from evaporating. But these are really, really handy rather than trying to flip up those little flippers or taking the lid off. These are a lifesaver.
And the nice thing is you can actually suck the paint, the leftover paint back out.
Yep.
Those two.
Now I was going to show you, we're going to take this pack valve on here also is a quick disconnect. I disconnect that airbrush. I put on this airbrush.
Ooh, what do you got there?
This is an Iwata SAR single action airbrush.
So you just went from a Pache to an Iwata.
I did, but I stuck with the single action. And just since you were talking about it, this one will work off of a bottle like this, or it'll work off of a color cup. And
incidentally, those cups for the Pache accept the VL, for the Iwata, accept VL color cups, don't they?
yes,
Or bottles.
and this one must be dirty.
So we have a few of them. Now that one operates similar to the H, except the control on the H is up front, and as far as the set screw and the needle and cone for the one that Tom's got there, the SAR, it operates in the back. So that operates the distance of the needle from the cone.
John wants to know the pricing on the bottle prop. So we do have the 4 ounce and the 8 ounce, and then they do fit the poly transfer, but you're looking at about 69 cents single, $5.95 for a dozen.
I want you to look at this fine line. This is as fine of a line as you're going to get out of even the high-priced airbrushes. And this is an Iwata. What's a SAR? 90-something maybe? Or they're not. They're an inexpensive airbrush. But this is single action.
The SAR is $109.
You know, that's pretty precise. If you wanted to make little trout spots, you can do it. If you wanted to make dashes on your white bass stripers, you can do that sort of thing. That's fine for $100 without getting
nice.
out of
Yep.
your favorite is a $500 airbrush. I can't do that, so I got to do it with my little single action. But that's pretty fine. Now, if I wanted to spray more, I can open up that volume of air, open up my needle, pull my needle back. Now you notice on the Pache, it adjusted up here. On the Iwata, it adjusts back here on this little ribbed collar. So this one's up
Pache
there?
is here, and the Iwata is in the back.
But this will give you a reasonably good swath of paint too.
And that's all determined by the size of the needle and cone. So you can get in a Pache, this is a number 3, right?
That is a number 1.
Oh, number 1. Ooh, fancy.
That's why it's
Um,
fine.
So, but this will come in a 3 and a 5 as
And
well.
we usually use 3s around here. 3 is just versatile. 3 will do turn down for most applications, and it'll widen out for most applications.
And the SAR is probably 0.24 maybe.
And if you look in the catalog, they have those. Most of the time, now I'm just spraying out my airbrush just to get the paint out of it here. I'm not trying to impress you with my painting ability. You can, for the most part, what I find, some of these airbrushes are 0.27, some of them are, you know, 0.027 and 0.03, and my human eye can't tell the difference. You know, they're pretty precise. But anyway, that's another version of a single action. You want to show them
What else
that,
you
don't
got?
you? You
Not
better
yet.
show them that.
What else you
Not
got?
yet?
You got some fun stuff.
Oh, we've got, this is another very economical airbrush. This is a double action airbrush. This is a Neo. I want a Neo, double action. You can unscrew this bowl and put on a bigger one, if you like. We'll put a little paint in here.
The Neo runs for $63.95.
Now, there's no, you pull it back as far as you want. So if you pull it back too far, you're gonna get, let me come over to a clean piece of paper. But that Neo also will give you a pretty fine line. Or it will give you, you know, a larger swath.
Now you're controlling all of that
All
from
of
the
it with a
trigger.
finger. Push down for air. Nothing happens when you push down. It's when you pull back. So it's kind of a walk and chew gum at the same time. You got to be able to push back and push down and pull back till you get what you want. And if you want a little bitty trout spot, don't also, oops, you know, you don't want to do something like that. So that can be with some of these airbrushes, you have to be real careful that you only pull back the same distance for every single spot or eyelid or whatever you want to do. You might be doing a deer eyelid, really nice, and then you kind of had a little hiccup, and then you got to start over.
Yeah, don't do that.
So show them something with one of the little adjustments on the back.
With a governor?
Sure.
What do we got here? This is a Raptor. This is a Pache. Do you have?
And hook it up.
Yeah.
The Pache complete set, that includes a .25 spray head, a .38 spray head, a .66 spray head, French hanger, air hose, and a manual for $130.95.
0.6 something. We could paint a car.
Some of these, you want paint?
Yeah.
What, Brett, let's hear your ideal PSI again.
Ideal. So that's a great question. The ideal air pressure depends upon the amount of paint you want to push through. So if I want to paint a really, really fine line, I might paint at 3, 4, 5 pounds of pressure. If I want to paint a wide swath, it might be 30 to 60.
Okay, now how do these people get it to paint when the air pressure is so low and nothing comes out?
Great question. That would be
I
a
got
paint
lots of them.
and viscosity issue. So in order to paint very, very small pressure and fine results, you're going to want super thin paint. So a retarded paint, a retarder in the paint, and
That's the dumbest
thinner.
paint I ever saw.
So we want the dumbest paint we can find, and but you want to really, really thin it out. And when you thin paint, it will dry faster. So we need to put retarder in it just to make sure that it doesn't dry in the needle itself, in the brush itself.
I was expecting your ideal to be. Rob wants to know suggested retarder water-based paint. Water-based plugs up using double action when doing turkey heads.
Ooh, I don't know. I think water is probably
Pretty
would
retarded.
probably our Spirit Lake water is.
And it depends. We've gone round and round with a lot of different paints. We've used every company's water-based paints there are, and a lot of times it's the paint. I painted with the Woods and Waters paint today, and I was able to paint for minutes before I had to open it up and flush it out. It worked really, really well with no retarder, just water. You were taking your water paint and thinning it with alcohol.
Yep. Isopropyl.
Isopropyl
Yep.
alcohol.
He says, I'm sorry, acrylic.
Yeah, the same
Same.
thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Borrow some of this.
Anything, not anything, but most acrylics, many acrylics are water-based paints, but any of our airbrush paints are water-based.
Another question here, I lost it. Oh, PSI for finishing whitetail.
I would want to paint fairly low
Low,
pressure. Yeah. You want to have enough pressure that you're pushing paint past the hair, which is kind of nice on your big finishing color, your big base colors. But then as you're starting to paint eyelids and nictitating membranes and things like that, you can turn it down, which is really nice if you have a pack valve, because then you can turn it from psh to pss. And that's what we want to do. So Tom had originally asked me, and this paint is not really performing really great. I might need some
You're
retarder.
telling me
here.
you didn't clean all your airbrushes?
I kind of did. I spent all morning doing it.
You did.
And then,
I'm just gonna mix a little bit here. I took it straight out of the. Oops. I need your cup, I think, rather than.
Brett wants to know, could you, in another seminar, taxidermy shop setups and devices that make life easier in the shop, such as for deer head skinning rigs, tape prep rigs, salt room rigs, etc., mounting stands, fleshing machines, and canning-related setups?
you're gonna need an amber for that.
That's a great.
Get yourself an amber.
Yes. That's a great idea, though. We are not struggling, but we've covered a lot of stuff. It's nice to have ideas of new things that will help people.
There's a fella, some of you will know, his name is Jerry Schaefer from Madison Lake, Minnesota. And Jerry Schaefer's getting a little elderly now, but he's
Pack
the inventor.
valve, John.
He's the inventor of the bird fleshing machine. He's those fiberglass tubs we use. He's got several books out, and he has a book of tools that you can build in the shop. And it's just a paperback book. Do we still carry those?
Taxidermy shop?
We used to.
I think we might have some on the discontinued
Bargain
shelf.
shop?
Yeah.
But he came one time during your class, I think,
Yeah,
like 50 years ago, and he set this thing up to where you could skin a bird, and with swinging arms, you never had to leave your chair all the way to the mounting of the bird. It was unbelievable. It was just a big scaffolding type desk setup.
Brian Turpit says, best choice, raptor or talon?
Ooh, there's a
I
raptor.
I like them both. I was using this Talon today when I was cleaning it, and I thought, man, this really paints nice. I like the size of the Raptor. It's not so overpowering.
And you're looking at 84 for the talon, the orange one, and then 130 for the raptor. Compressor. What compressor? That would be the Pache.
So this is a nice, quiet, portable compressor. We are hooked up right now to the big compressor.
To the big Quincy.
And that powers our whole shop. We run air tools off of it. We run the big paint booth.
100-gallon tank.
And that's a great big one. Certainly not necessary for a small shop. It's really nice to have a portable compressor that you can take over to your finish area, take it on site with you when you go and install for customers. These are nice, they're quiet. You can operate 2 airbrushes off of them. They have a regulator. You can run those down to, you can run them down to 10 pounds of pressure pretty easily. They do a really good job. So.
Now, why did you take your crown cap off? Just people might want to know.
Mike Orthober told me to.
Mike Orthober says, do it.
And actually the reason is, I was in a seminar and I asked him the same question, and his answer was, have you ever read the directions on your airbrush? No, I have never read the directions. Why would you do that?
Same as
He
the
said,
last
well, it's
airbrush I got.
in the directions. And the reason is, this cap is designed to protect this very fragile needle, but it does nothing more than that. And if you're painting all day, you can get buildup on the cap, which will cause it to spatter, and you can see some things going on here. So I took that off just to alleviate some of that, and it paints really nice. Now, this brings us to what happens if I do bend that.
You wreck it. You know how much those needles are?
I
I
know.
bet you they're $30. How much is an Iwata needle? That's a lot.
It is.
I want it depends. The micron's crazy expensive.
I just bought one.
Did you?
Yes.
A needle?
Yes.
Why?
I bent it.
But you have a sharpen air.
I didn't have a sharpener
this was
then.
prior to.
Yeah, needles run from $11 to all the way. Where's that
111.
micron?
I
30.
want to say, huh?
All the way to 30.
Yeah. If you bend, can we show 'em?
Yeah.
If you bend your needle
Because you took the cap off,
and dropped it,
like that, this
This.
is very, very susceptible to.
this is called a sharpener. And it's actually got little stones in here and little holes for your needles. And they make them for Iwata and Badgers, and they make a different one for Pachets. Pachet has a little heavier needle. And let me get the needle. I don't want to take yours. Let's do this one maybe. I could probably do that one.
This is a Pachet. You probably. What do you have? Do you have a Pachet or an Iwata?
No, I got an Iwata.
Okay, yeah, you better do that one.
Okay, you're gonna want to clean your needle up really good so you're not putting paint in there.
Everyone wants to know about the catalog, and I think that they are so beautiful that the male people
They-
are taking
I
them
guess
home,
so.
but they should seriously be out there any day.
Hey, it's
they
been a
should
couple
be there.
weeks.
We were told they were mailed a week and a half ago. So you guys should be getting them anytime, and we're waiting for the first person to call us and tell us how awesome
And they
are.
get something.
Yeah, that's a Facebook selfie post. They get something.
Okay, now all you do with this is you slide it in the first one. There's 4 holes, and I think the first 2 holes are, you have to read your directions, are for the tip, and the other ones are for the shoulder angle. And you twist it, and you can put a really bent needle in here, and it will come out straight as a needle.
I have the video here for 1 minute to show if we could too.
You can have them
We've
it
been-
play.
Yeah. We've been selling a lot of these sharpened airs.
This
and
is
it's
an
a great Christmas
ingenious,
present
ingenious
and,
tool.
It really is, especially for you competition guys who like to do things last minute.
And drop it.
Yeah, like me.
And you can tell a bent tip just by sliding your finger through it.
And the negative to
music.
Oh, go ahead.
So there you have it. That's kind of the way it is set up and all that.
So the reason you wouldn't want to paint with a bent needle is the same reason you don't want to have the crown cap off or on. Anything, if that needle is bent even in the least, the paint will gather on the needle, and it won't spray clean. So you'll get little spatters and so forth. So really examine the needle. It's a good idea. Talk about competition, people. It's a really good idea before you set off to do one of these fancy competition pieces and invest the time and energy in one of these pieces. It's a great idea because finish work really shows. It's the first thing people see, last thing you do. Make sure that your equipment's in tip-top shape, whether it be check out your needle and your cone. Make sure all of your parts are operating properly.
First thing people see, but the last thing you do. I'm gonna have to write that down because that's hard to remember.
It kind of is. It stands out. That finished work really stands out.
James Morrison says, "You missed my question and I'm ready to buy."
What do you want to buy?
Kirsten has a little bit of a cough today, so I'm trying to hold 3 things at once so she gets that. We do have a few questions though. Is there a cheap airbrush for smaller batches of 2-part auto clear coat?
I would say, let me grab it.
Yeah, this is important. Your gloss, again, just like your finish work, that's the last thing you put on. And you want to have something that will spray a nice, clean, even gloss coat. And this little gloss gun works great for automotive.
We've always used the big one, and like Binks makes one, DeValbus makes one, but they're like $300-400, like the automotive people would use. And we've used, you can get knockoff guns like that. You get them from Harbor Freight and things, but they're big, and you have to mix kind of a lot because the siphon tube has to go down in there. We carry these, and we've been using them for the last several batches of fish, and they work pretty good. It's a gravity feed, so I always mix my gloss up. Our gloss is typically an epoxy. Or a automotive clear coat that has a hardener with it, but I mix it up in a cup, pour in what I need, screw it shut. This one has a fan, how your spray shape, and then it also has how much, and it has a air control down here, so it's plenty controllable and works really well for small batches. If we have a big batch of fish, we'll still use the big one. But 3, 4, 5, 6 fish, this is exceptional.
And still operates on the basic same function of
An
the
airbrush,
with the needle and the cone assembly. So you can control the amount of paint that comes in with the amount of the opening.
Ray says he has issues with the retarder and the paint gumming up the airbrush. What do you thin with?
What kind of paint, Ray? Are you painting with water or lacquer? We can kind of hit that from both perspectives.
Sure.
If you're painting with lacquer, we're gonna thin with lacquer thinner, and we've found that a higher grade of lacquer thinner really helps to keep it from gumming up. We go to a slower burning thinner. And or it could be called a reducer. And that's what we use here in the shop. That comes from Arnold's, maybe?
Yeah, Arnold Motor Supply. We always had difficulty. Sometimes our thinner would coagulate in the bottles and things like that. And somebody said you want a slow reducer or thinner. And so we went and talked to the auto body people, showed them the paint we were using, and said we need something to slow it down so it doesn't dry so fast. And we've been using this for years, and it's Pittsburgh Paint and Glass Omni MR187 seems to work real good for us. I think it's about twice the price of regular lacquer thinner.
Yeah.
But you don't use so much. Don't use it for cleaning your airbrushes. It's not the best for that. Get cheap, clean cut, something inexpensive to do that. This is for thinning your paint.
Yeah.
James says he'll take that spray gun, and James, you just stay tuned to the end because we might just have a deal for you. Along with Amanda Keels, you better tell your husband we also might have a deal for him on your Christmas airbrush that you want. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the end and like and share because we're doing some giveaways. John would like you to explain slow versus fast thinner.
Say it again.
Slow versus fast thinner.
Okay, if you're spraying with an airbrush and your your little stream, like I was doing these little squiggles here, and or say you're doing detail on a fish, like a whole bunch of spots. If you can do 2 or 3 spots and it quits, you can put a slow thinner in, and you can probably do 15 or 20. You can put slow thinner in, now I'm talking lacquers, in addition to some retarder, few drops of retarder, and you might get 30 or 40 spots or little lines. Slow thinner slows down. You want to use lacquer for production because it dries fast. You could, I used to use oils when I first started, and it took 3 days for a fish to dry. You never painted the backside of the fish because you couldn't tip him upside down. When it came to lacquers, we thought we died and went to heaven because you could spray the front and touch it right away. That's a little too fast for the airbrush, because as air comes through that tip, it dries the lacquer in the tip and it quits spraying. So you need to slow down that real efficient production paint, and a slow thinner will do that. Yeah. A fast thinner will evaporate fast, and you won't be able to paint fine for long. Yeah. I can paint big swaths all day long, but a fine spray, it's going to clog in the tip for you. Yeah.
What's the purpose of lacquer retarder?
Same thing, slows down your paint. And read the directions. I usually start by drops. So if I had my paint mixed in something like this, I would try 8 drops, and then I'd try making spots, and I'm going to get about 6 spots. I'm going to put in 8 more drops. Wow, all of a sudden I get 26 spots. I'm going to put in a couple more drops, and you'll be able to get a whole lot. There is a point where you put in too much, and it won't dry too. But by adding small amounts of retarder, you slow down the drying in the tip.
And that's
that air going through there just dries that paint too quick.
Yep. So as it dries, that's what's going to cause you fits. The difference between a slow burning lacquer thinner and a retarder is no matter how much slow thinner you put in your paint, it will still dry. But if you put too much retarder in your paint, there will be a point which it will not dry. It'll stay sticky. So there is a difference. And I talked to a paint guy once, and he kind of explained that slower lacquer thinner, they rate on a burn rate, and it's so a regular lacquer, your table lacquer thinner that you're going to use to clean with is about a 70-degree burn rate, so it evaporates most efficiently at room temperature, where a slow lacquer thinner has a burn rate more like 100 degrees, so it actually has to be warmer for it to evaporate, which causes it to be a little bit slower. So if your paint, don't let your paint guys confuse you too much, but that's kind of the difference in the two.
What are you doing there?
I was cleaning my airbrush in this nice little cleaning bottle. Now, anytime you clean your airbrush, you want to spray out. I just sprayed some thinner in the bowl, and I want to spray that out. What happens is it just gets fumes all over the place. But if you have a nice little thing like this, which has a little airbrush holder on it besides, but I can squirt it all into there. It's got a filter in there, and my room doesn't get all...
And then Mandy doesn't get mad when she
I know, she gets mad.
If you guys would just turn the vents on like you're supposed
Oh
to.
my gosh.
That's an airbrush
Is that
tabletop
straight paint, you
cleaning
think?
station, and it's
No,
$22.
Yeah, that's why I was having problems.
I don't know if I can make this work, but I was gonna give you a demonstration of, this is straight paint in here, and I'm gonna see how many fine spots I can get. See how it's not wanting. I did 3 spots. It does not want to paint anymore. So in order to get it paint again, I open it up, flood it out, which softens all my paint. I get it adjusted to where I want, and I can get 3 more spots. Now it's starting to clog again. Okay, now let me grab a paper cup. And you mix me up some thinner and retarder, and we'll see. I'll show you the difference. Now he's putting thinner in here to start with.
You want a little retarder? They don't know how fast it's going to drive. I'm going to put a whole bunch of retarder in here.
Something else. Let's see, I had a brush here.
So one of the questions was about things that can clog your or gum up your airbrush. These are waxed cups, and so for short-term paint, this works pretty good. But if you were to leave this in the cup for more than an hour and still continue painting with it, the wax will start to melt. The thinner will start to melt the wax, and then it will clog up your airbrush. So be careful of that. Yes.
Rob says this session is very helpful, learning a lot. Rob, I know you watch every week, and I know every session is very helpful.
Okay, now we'll see what he did. I'm going to adjust this.
So you're turning your air pressure down.
I'm turning my air. Now, something else to watch. If you're getting speckles, now you probably can't see this with the camera maybe, but see those speckles? If you're getting speckles like that, there's only two reasons for it. Too thick of paint or too low of air pressure for your viscosity or your thickness of your paint. You want a nice fine atomization, they call it, of paint. So you're going to not want little speckles like that.
What if you do want little speckles like that?
Then you got what you want.
Then
Okay.
you would have thicker paint and less air pressure.
Okay, now here we're doing trout spots. You can count them with the way Brett mixed this. I can probably do this all day long. Now you notice, straight out of the bottle, I got 3 spots, didn't I? Maybe 4.
What kind of trout's that?
Well, this is a rainbow trout. Look at that. See, we're not gonna, like I said, I really can probably do this all day because he thinned it very thin. Now, because he thinned it real thin, if I were to open up and have too much air spray, watch what happens. I get spider legs. It gets spider leggy on me. And so you gotta be, it's blowing too hard of air. So you wanna turn it down so you don't have a lot of air. Get rid of the coarse particles, the coarse little spray, and we can go right back to painting. But I bet I'm painting now with 3 to 5 pounds air pressure, very, very low. And that's what allows you to do things like this.
Could you mix a bottle full and keep it capped for use later?
Yes.
Yes, yes, it's a great idea. We like to use these bottles. We'll do our custom mixes in. So if we have a detail paint that maybe we're gonna paint a trout and we want a specific color for spots that we may mix, it's nicest to mix it in a bottle so that once you run out,
So we have
you're
4
not,
sizes.
you're not having to make up your mix all over again. You can stay consistent. Here's a quick tip now that you have a nice clean, this is clean, and do you have your thin paint?
Yes.
So one thing that's kind of cool to do with your fish, and you can do it with your deer heads along the eyelids and stuff, is paint fine lines. On your reproduction fish, or any fish, it's nice to give some little accents to just some of the contours and shapes in the head. If you paint directly at the paper, you're getting a round spot. And basically what's happening is the paint is following the airflow, it's hitting the paper, and it's dispersing evenly in this direction. So it opens up like that. If I wanted to get a really fine line like Tom has here, or even finer, one of the easiest ways to do that without getting what we'd call overspray or a wider line is to take your needle, and I'm going to take the cap off.
Don't lose it.
Do not lose
That's
that one. That's a
$30.
fancy. Oh, I bet that's 100. That's a fancy one. But now, instead of spraying straight, which gives you a round presentation, I am going to paint. It's not closing down on me. I am going to paint a line, or attempt to, And to do that, I'm gonna paint going forward. So let me show you, I'm gonna lean this way. I'm gonna pull back, and the idea, for some reason my needle and cone aren't shutting down all the way. But if you paint going forward like this, see the direction of the spray is now oblong. So if I turned it way down and wanted to do something like this, I would actually do it and pull backward, and that's gonna put all of my paint out ahead of me. My overspray is gonna go forward rather than out and wide, and I apologize because I'm not demonstrating that as well as I'd like because my needle's not closing down. This is your fancy airbrush, how come it's not?
I know why.
I do too. Tell them.
I, for years, have cleaned out my bowl on those airbrushes with a Q-tip. And I thought I'm really getting that airbrush cleaned up, and I'd put a little thinner in it, and I'd twist that around, and pretty soon I couldn't get it to close down. And only to find out that the lint and the cotton little hairs from that airbrush get down in there and work their way forward. And any of you seen those archery targets, Calumet archery targets and stuff where the arrows don't go through cotton? Your needle won't go through either. And you can't close it down as fine as you want.
Yep. And here, I think I've got it clean now. This is kind of what I was wanting to show you. If I pull backward, I can paint a super fine line rather than spraying straight down where my overspray is going outward. So if you paint forward like this, you can paint pencil lines.
Hairline.
Hairlines. Pencils, hairs, whiskers.
Any of these Iwatas have a little test pattern in them, and some of them advertise hairline, and some of them advertise pencil line, and the pencil line is pretty fine, but the hairline is finer yet.
I did not know.
We have 2 giveaway winners from last week. First one to comment in if they're watching will get to pick a prize. Jared McKeever or David Brello. Those are the 2. So you guys have about 5 minutes, I'll give you, to tune in, and then it goes to somebody live.
Wow.
Our people haven't been tuning in very good either.
But you got to remember, everybody has a life outside of our videos, so they catch them after work and after
Oh, it's too late.
sleep.
After
Some
play.
people are sleeping.
So
some
Tyler and
people are...
Casey will never win.
You're funny. Jason says videos like this is another reason why you guys are above the rest.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you, Jason. Okay, so everybody wants to know airbrush recommendations, and I feel like
Jared is here,
ooh,
our winner.
look at you. Just because you said that, you jinxed it, so he's here. Perfect.
Congratulations.
Perfect, Jared. We'll get in contact after the video for that. So everybody wants to know which airbrush you recommend, and I feel like it's really hard because our price range on airbrushes ranges from $30 to $300, $600 now dollars. So let's start with your $300 to $130 airbrushes. Which ones would you guys pick in that price range? So you got the Neo.
Hold on, I'm gonna grab another one.
You have the Neo, the SAR, the Pache H, the VL, the Talon, the Raptor, and your Badger Renegade and Spirit.
You're doing with the less expensive, the least
Yes.
expensive?
Yes.
What would you do?
So your Neo and SAR, those are both Iwata ones. Your Pache H and VL versus the Talon, Raptor, and then the Badger Renegade's Jet.
I would start off just by saying, remember this is a very important tool to your shop. It's worth the investment. So if you had a range of 30 to 300, I would lean toward the higher end because typically your higher end airbrushes are going to give you a little more control and a little bit more precision, but it doesn't mean that a $60 airbrush isn't going to perform for you. If you have the opportunity to go to a $300 airbrush, I'd probably go that way first.
30, we got 16,
Yeah.
16 of them set up.
Yeah. And how you use those, that if I was going to do 16 of them or 8,
We don't
like
change
some
colors,
people like
man.
to. Yeah.
We
Yep.
have this set up you have 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. You can stand right here, have a white and a black and a yellow and a green, and you can have a brown and a blue and yellow ochre, over here.
Very production oriented,
Yeah.
works extremely well, and you can have a dedicated brush to your color, so you're not constantly changing colors. If I was going to do that,
That
I
slows
think-
you down.
Yeah, I think 4 or 8 of those H airbrushes are fantastic.
Archie Phillips used to have about 50 of them.
I bet he did.
Okay, so let's go the higher end ones. What?
Yeah.
I already know both of your favorites. Jimmy
Yes,
Warren's
you do.
favorite, Cole Cruikshank's favorite, but tell us what your favorite of those are.
Super high endorsements for the Iwata HPB. It just seems to be a workhorse for us in the shop.
That's this,
There are
the HPB Plus, and it's $255.95.
Yep.
And that's this one.
My first Iwata was the C,
Me too.
and it performs.
Which one's which?
That's the C, that's the B, and they make an A, which has no cup at all.
Yep.
And why do you prefer the B? What sets it above the rest for you?
For me, and probably the same for Tom, I don't. Sometimes that cup is just a little bit big. Also, I think there is a difference in needle size
I think a
between
little
the
bit.
B and the C. I think the B is a little more precise. It's a smaller needle and cone assembly.
When Iwatas first got popular, I got a C, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I went to a show, and somebody said, "How can you stand to paint with that great big globe on the front? Doesn't that bother you?" And no, I love it. And I got home and I thought, it kind of is big. And so I ended up getting a B, and that's my go-to airbrush. And here's how we use these. If we're gonna paint black, we're gonna put a couple drops in here, paint what we need to paint, squeeze this, suck out my black, take another bottle with thinner, put a little thinner in there, spray it out, take my other color, red, put a couple drops in, paint, squeeze this, suck out your red, and if you have all your paints in these little siphon bottles, you can paint really, really fast. But we like the Bs.
Really do.
It's not an inexpensive gun, but it's not the most expensive gun, and it does anything we need to do in the shop.
Yep.
CJ wants to know how you can enter for the drawings. And how you guys enter for the drawings is we are live typically every Thursday at 4:30, but we had some things going on getting close to the Christmas season and kiddos that we moved it to Tuesday. But what you do on your video is you hit the share button, and you can write a post to your friends and do it, or you can share to a group, and then I can pick my groups and I can share to Taxidermy 101, Whitetail, whichever group you're in, and you just click share, and that will get you in a chance for next week. One of the things with our shares is you don't have to be live sharing to get it. We actually run it for the week. So we won't pick our next week's winner until Thursday morning. So if somebody doesn't get to the video until Tuesday, it's fine. We'll pick it Thursday and you still have a chance to win. Make sure you comment shared, because a lot of people, if you're not public, if your profile isn't public, it won't let us see who shared it. So you want to make sure you comment shared. We respect everyone's privacy, so we don't want to ask you to make it public, but make sure you let us know that you shared it. Do you guys got any?
Christmas ideas, it's showing
Christmas.
some of them things.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, someone was just asking, how do you clean your airbrush?
Well, I don't. Hence my problems. No, the better you take care of your tools and clean your airbrushes, the better it's going to work
It's
for you.
an investment, and when you get into a $300 airbrush, you're going to want to make sure that it is operating.
Or
at
you've got a
full
$500
function.
airbrush there, too.
Or a $500 airbrush. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure.
This is a very simple, kind of like little pipe cleaner brushes. They come in all different sizes. It will work in either, a big gun like this to clean where the needle goes, or it works in any of these. Some airbrush companies recommend not to use these because they do have metal tips out the end, so you're going to want to be a little careful. Don't ram them in there, like you're cleaning the barrel of a rifle or something. Kind of be a little bit gentle with them, but this is a real inexpensive stocking stuffer. You can go up from that. This has nylon toothbrush type scrubbing brush. It's got a bigger brush here for bottle brush, plus your other set. We also have, like we showed you before, the sharpen air for bent. I mean, you don't have to clean, you don't have to straighten 2 to 3 needles in. This is paid for.
Something nice about that sharpen air is the black. So they have 2 versions, the Pache and then the Iwata Badger or any other airbrush. The Pache has a thicker needle, so it has its own. The other ones come in black, this bright green, and then a pink. So you kind of have your color options for the opposite.
So you don't get lost.
Yeah.
And here's a larger airbrush cleaning kit, even to the extent it has a magnifying, lighted magnifier. It's got little pipe cleaners, it's got different tools, it's got oils. Speaking of oil, we like to use Iwata lube, and I had a super lube.
I mean, this is a great product that's actually changed recently. They changed it from the blue. If you guys have used the blue, some people had experienced that it would gum up in the, that it was kind of gummy if you left it for very long. This is a new formula, and I've used it for a while. I don't.
Works pretty good.
Yeah, I
It
don't
actually
see
comes
coming
with
up.
the Iwata airbrushes as well.
And you can use oils, you can use all kinds of oils,
Yep.
but this is
This is
formulated
nice. Yep.
specifically for the airbrush. These are nice too. If you're working in an area like this and you don't want to run your exhaust fan all the time when you're cleaning your airbrush, you can clean out your airbrush in this. It's got a filter. You saw as I was spraying in there, I emptied my bowl in there several times and there were no fumes around here.
And the very, very, very best airbrush accessory out there is this one. If you're gonna spend $50 or $500 on an airbrush, I would make sure you save an extra, what, 13, 14, 15 bucks?
It is $14.95.
$14.95. This is absolutely the most important thing I think you could have, because when this sits on the table, invariably you're going to catch a hose and it's going to hit the floor. This simple little hanging system is tough to beat,
And it actually
great
holds 4
insurance.
airbrushes, correct?
Yes.
It could, yes. Yep, you got 2 little holders down here as well.
So if you don't get one of these, at least do yourself a
Yeah,
favor.
make sure
and
you
get
got
one of
one of
these.
those.
You gotta have one of them.
Yeah, definitely. But all kinds of little things airbrush. Oh, there's a fun one too.
Pack valve.
Yep.
So you can turn down, and that's like on this one. I can adjust my air pressure. Now, if I don't do it here, I've got to run.
Who is that? That's always fun. They don't know it's your typical Thursday.
That's right.
So Rob actually is asking us, are we doing videos every Tuesday versus Thursday? And we are just with the Christmas season, and we have little ones that have activities and stuff. So we are. Who is it?
It's
Your brother.
Oh, Marcus. So we just switched to Tuesday this week. So next week, if all things go accordingly, we'll do the regular Thursday at 4:30. But make sure you're following us on Facebook, because we will let you know, and emails. If you are not getting our emails, you're the first one to know about our sales and promotions or freebies or any change of plans and stuff. So make sure you're on our email list, but we'll follow us on Facebook because we'll show you all that.
Here's what happens when you drop your airbrush. That little crown cap is bent.
Oh.
You know, and when that's bent, it deflects the air down.
Yep.
So as you're spraying and your spots are going over here instead of straight off the end of the needle, you know that something's bent. But anyway, back to that pack valve. I can adjust that air pressure here all the way down to nothing, and it will. Badger has a hose that will interconnect with any airbrush. Otherwise, you can get the valve itself and connect to your airbrushes.
More Christmas ideas.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Those are
For those of us that are aging, these are 2 and 3 power magnifiers. They come with lights. They're fantastic. They really, really help for your detail work. They work great.
We sell them in.
You've been complaining a lot lately.
I know.
We sell them in safety, so if you don't need the readers, the old
Yeah. The old guy
readers,
readers.
we sell them in the camo and the black, and then the 2 different 2.0, Dapper, 3.0. And another good one is those flexible bowls.
Oh yeah.
That's a great stocking
those
stuffer
are.
gift idea.
Yeah.
Those come in 4 sizes. What we are going to do, John, I think it's your hearing aid, so you can turn that up. But we're still waiting on the steel-toed Crocs from you. One of the things we are doing tonight, starting tonight through Friday at midnight, is we are running 15% off our airbrush stuff. So those that are looking for airbrushes or stocking stuffers or gift ideas or accessories, it's 15% off. So that's 15% off all Pache, Badger, and Iwata. The only one exempt from the Iwata is the Micron. That's 10% off, but everything else is 15%. All your airbrush accessories, so the hanger, the cup we were talking about, the cleaning kit, all that is 15% off. We're adding life tone paints to this.
Paint too? Wow.
We are adding woods and water paint, the sharpen air, and our air compressors. So all of these great gift ideas, and we're giving you guys 15% off now through Friday. Keep in mind that when they're gone, they're gone. Our sales are going fast with people. So if you don't get on first, you might not make the cut to get your product in time for Christmas or whatnot. So kind of plan accordingly with our sales. One of the nice things on our website that the girls have set up for you, I'm on my mobile one, which will look like this, but you can click right into the Christmas stocking one, and they have all sorts of Christmas stocking stuffers. This next one down is the live products. So anything that we talk about every week, we are updating. So here's all Christmas stocking ones. Our taxidermy t-shirts would be great. But in the live one, we're updating this every week to what we're talking about. So right now is all the products that the guys have mentioned tonight are on here. So it just makes for an easy shopping for you guys.
That's everything on sale.
Yep. So here's your sale products. So just click through there and it will.
15% off compressors?
15% off compressors.
And 10% off the Micron.
10% off the Micron. That's the only airbrush thing that's 10 and not 15. Everything else is 15. So you can order online or you can call in and the girls will walk you through everything.
Tell us about that Micron before we go.
I like it. It's just if you have an opportunity to use one, I don't think you'll go back the other way. I can't make myself pick up a different airbrush because
I mean, look at
the
that
custom
detail
Micron is
you were
just
doing
it's just something that I've grown very accustomed to and really enjoy using it. Not to speak ill of the B or the C or
Sure.
any of those other airbrushes, but there is a difference. The biggest difference in the custom Micron is the precision matched parts. So the cone and needle assembly are actually hand ground and matched, which is the additional cost to the airbrush, as well as that little pack valve that is the add-on to the Badger hose actually is a part of the assembly right here. It's far and away
here. Precise little instrument.
It's an amazing.
If you make your
little
living
tool.
in this business, you want
Yeah.
good equipment, and that's as good as you can get.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get better, but that's as
Boy, I
good.
can't imagine what better looks like. If there's better than this, I'd love to see it because it's there are some fancy label airbrushes out there.
Are we letting our winner pick a bag?
Oh yeah, I forgot
Oops.
about you already. I'm so used to somebody not getting it. Yeah, a couple questions. Someone said 10% off the Micron. It is 10% off the Micron, and the Micron's usually $625. So you're looking at about $63 off of that airbrush right there.
Wouldn't you like that in your stocking?
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
There's another couple questions. Dwayne says that, of course, he just bought his airbrush from us a couple days ago. Dwayne, now's the best time to get accessories for your airbrush and save. Do you send out catalogs? We do send out catalogs.
I'm not sure about that.
I know.
I'm not
This
buying
question. It is, they should be coming. If you guys have ever gotten an order from us before, you are on the mailing list, so you should be getting one in your mailbox soon. If you have never ordered from us before, call in, let us know your address, or send us a message on Facebook, and we'll add you to the list, and we'll get them out bulk.
Are
So,
you gonna show them what the catalog looks like?
no, because the first one has to take selfie. First one to get it in their mailbox and take a selfie, you get, what are we doing? First 3 are like $10 off in their next order. So do that. Let's see some selfies. Everyone likes your glasses. They said the glasses are amazing. Best thing I've ever bought. Michelle. And Brian says he just ordered himself a pair.
Cool.
Who's the winner? The winner is,
Jared.
Jared McKeever. So, this is your chance. You got a chance to win all 4 of these products. So, I will get those ready. Here. I totally forgot.
We're running long, too.
I know. We're doing good. So, you got a couple reference photo books. There's 24 photos in here. They're high res. They're great pictures. Close-ups. Let's see here.
Don't show.
Well, that was close.
That's Jared. What?
Jared and Bree.
Okay, so you get to pick somebody's box. Bag box.
Now, he's been keeping track of which box.
I mixed them up.
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Who's
have
got
one.
what?
You got Kirsten, camera, lady holding one, Mandy, Tom, and Brett. So go ahead and make your selection and we'll see what you got. Everything else plus 1 new item will go in next week.
See, he played that back slow motion.
Andy Jacobs says, update on new change-out heads. Show them off.
Which ones?
Yeah, we have lots of
We
them.
do have lots of them.
We will.
Yeah, that's
That'd
probably
be
something
good.
to talk about here pretty soon.
Coming soon to you, maybe after the catalog comes.
Jared, whose bag? I don't know what shh means.
Jared says shh. So you got Kirsten, Mandy, Brett, or Tom. One of those names and you'll get what's in their bag. Next week, I don't know what you guys are doing live on. We're kind of running out of...
Ideas?
Brett.
Well,
Me? Oh, fancy.
Coal. You got coal in the stocking.
I did. I got
nothing?
nothing.
It's the airbrush hanger. It wouldn't fit. You
It's
got,
like, oh,
Jared,
you
you
got
got
the
the
baby
hanger.
prize.
Good deal.
So you got, so that is this one.
That's funny.
That's very cool. Very cool.
So there you
That's
go.
the best thing you'll ever win.
It really is.
So don't forget to like, share, give us hearts and bubbles for Tom. You're with Tom Matuska, Brett Wingfield, Kirsten Morris, Mandy Swart, Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company. And tune in every Thursday. We did it random. We'll let you know if we do it again. But every Thursday, 4:30, you can always go back and watch our videos on our Facebook video page. And also, call us 1-800-488-3256. Or visit our website at www.matuskataxidermy.com.
What day does Christmas fall on?
Ooh, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And Christmas Eve is Monday?
Yeah.
Maybe? I think I saw that.
Fair enough.
I think.
I'll subscribe.
Maybe.
Also, if you're looking for school or furthering your taxidermy education, we have Northwest Iowa School of Taxidermy. It is a great school and we offer a lot of different classes.
9-week class starts in January 7th.
And then we have a couple
And then we
2-week
have
classes.
2-week classes, deer specialty classes, bird specialty classes, fish specialty
Fish
classes.
reproduction, yeah. In the spring.
In the spring, yep.
And we also have advanced classes.
Advanced, yep.
Yep.
So you may have gone to school somewhere else, but you want to bring your skills to the next level. We can help you with that. We are VA approved. So that is a pretty good deal because you get everything paid for pretty much. But let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.
Good job,
Cool.
girls.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.